welcome back everyone to another episode of Innovation Alley. We're your hosts. I'm TowelManPurple.
I'm Bjorn.
And today we have both brought our own version of Amber Emerald. We're going to let Bjorn kick us off today with his Lady Perdita Rockstar. Bjorn, tell us what this is about and what you're doing with it.
Well, I think the name speaks for itself. It's Lady and Perdita and Rockstar are the key cards. They all have to do with the 2-cost characters. When you play a 2-cost or lower character, you can exert it with Stitch Rockstar and draw a card. And when you play Perdita, you can take a 2-cost or lower character from your discard pile and play it for free. Also when she quests. And when you play Lady, you get to take 2 2-cost characters or lower and put them back in your hand. So I thought it would be pretty easy to build for all of them at the same time, since they all want those 1 and 2-cost characters, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the bulk of the deck. So for the 1-costs, Daisy Duck is here simply because she quests for 2 and she has a big willpower number. She is not easy to get rid of. We don't care about the opponent drawing cards because we're just gonna zoom right past them. We got, of course, Stitch here to shift into the big Stitch. We got Pegasus, both for the evasive, which is nice, and to shift into the big Pegasus as well. 2 shift targets here. We have Fred, like Daisy, he's for the lore. He quests for 1, but when he's challenged, you gain 2 lore. So, sure, they can easily just challenge Fred with whatever, but then he actually gained you 3 lore. That's more than if Daisy just quest once.
Right.
And then Pluto is here simply because he can act as a lantern. He can act as a ramp, which means that we can shift our Stitch, for example, on turn 3 instead of turn 4, and that's pretty good.
I agree.
Yeah. For the 2-costs, we have, of course, Piglet for the lore. We have so many 1 and 2-costs. Piglet will always quest for 3, no questions asked, so just a really good card. We got Lilo that quests for 2, with the added benefit of coming back from the discard pile. We already have lots of ways, like both Perdita and Lady does this. However, if you don't have them in hand, or if you just was swept by a Be Prepared, just bringing out a couple Lilos can be, all you need to get your self back in the game.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely. We got Go-Go Tamago. I think she is great. She's an evasive quester, but mostly she's a great finisher, right?
Nice.
When you play her, you can pay 2 extra ink, and if you do, you gain lore equal to the amount of damage on an opposing character. And I think the opposing characters will end up having a lot of damage on them because they will be challenging your characters a lot. Especially, the opponents be like, okay, so my Maui has 4 damage now. I guess I'm gonna start challenging with other things to keep my Maui for singing or whatever. And then you punish them by gaining 4 lore with Go-Go Tamago, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have an opportunity not to challenge. You're just going too fast. They have this stem of bleeding.
And so, if you, by some miracle get up to 8 lore, 8 ink, then you can play Perdita that plays Go-Go Tamago for free from the discard pile and pay those 2 extra. So even if you don't have her in hand, as long as she's in your discard pile, you can use her again. Either take her up to hand with Lady or get her out on the field with Perdita.
Yeah, exactly.
And Morph here is another shift target, both for Pegasus and for Stitch Rockstar, or potentially even for Lady. I don't think we want to shift Lady on 3 because you need stuff in the discard pile, which mostly will be happening later, but it's an option, right?
Yep.
If you just need to get her out for 2 cheaper and you have a Morph in play, hey. So Morph has 3 shift targets here, Lady, Pegasus, and Stitch. I think it is a very, very good card in that regard, even though it's, of course, easy to remove it. But so are all our other characters. It doesn't really matter. Like, they have to choose. take away the morph or take away the piglet, you know? Your choice. You only have one storm. And then, of course, Simba. Lastly is just because he's a bodyguard. That costs 2. I think it's great. It's just one of these tech options that can give you the edge in certain matchups. Say, for example, that you quest out with your Piglet and then you place Simba in front of Piglet. Maybe that Piglet survives. Or, you know, you're playing a bunch of 1 and 2 costs in front of Rockstar and you're exerting all of them. Might as well exert a bodyguard. It wants to be exerted anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Or like, yeah, Perdita quests, and then she grabs Simba from the discard pile and gets him out, so she herself is harder to challenge. You know, lots of good uses for Simba for sure. And to top it off, we do have the Lantern. That is the only non-character. We have 56 characters, and then we have Lantern for the same exact reason as Pluto. Because Lantern makes things cheaper, makes us ramp a little bit. You know, we don't want to play Perdita on turn 6. We want to play her on turn 4 or 5, honestly. Or if we're going for that Stitch Rockstar, instead of being shift 4, if we have a Pluto or a Lantern in play, either of them together with, you know, the one called Stitch or the Morph, then we can simply shift him in on turn 3, and that's great. You know, a 3/5 the quest for 3 on turn 3, I think that's hard to deal with.
Yeah, not bad at all. Heck yeah, there you
And that's
have
it. Yeah, it's a simple deck, but
Lady
I think
Perdita.
it is powerful.
Rockstar. Lady, Perdita, and Rockstar. What a
Absolutely.
combo. It makes sense. They all do the same thing. Synergizes very well together.
Yeah, they all want, you know, 21 drops and 22 drops. They all want that, and it's all here.
All right. Well, great job on that. I actually want to take this for a spin myself.
It
And
is
then
very fun.
I have brought Just in Tower.
Mm-hmm.
So the play on words here is we were playing Just in Time and Rapunzel's Tower.
Oh wow, your favorite cards.
Yeah, some of my favorites. Why not? All right, so looking up, we have 4 1-drop daisies. Obviously, 1/4, very aggressive card. Quest for 2. We're trying to put the gas pedal down, just as Bjorn was doing with his deck. And them drawing a card is not going to stop us from doing what we want to do. Then we have 6 copies of O4s. So there's 4 Nala and 2 Little
O4s.
John. They all quest for 1. They're just large willpower characters that can also help set up a Rapunzel line, just like Daisy.
So you're just really into that 1 cost for willpower line. You really think that's what you want in this deck?
I think setting up the opportunity for having Rapunzel lines will make your opponent have to try to play a certain way, which can allow you to get out ahead more so than not.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, right? Like, it's, if all of your 1-drops have 4 willpower, that means you're always starting off with something strong that cannot be stormed, that cannot be taken out easily.
Exactly. Then we have split up Lilos and Piglets at the 2 cost. Obviously, Lilo is like the never-ending story. It just keeps coming back from the discard for 2, quest for 2. Piglet is a 2/2 that quests for 1, but with the opportunity to quest for 3. Lilo being a 1/2. So both of them having their own prestigious value. So an even split of 3/3 for both of them for me. The same thing is said for Go-Go and Tramp. So obviously Go-Go, you know, some of these cards are going to overlap with Bjorn's deck, but Go-Go is the 2/2 evasive. When it comes into play, you pay the additional 2 to gain lore equal to the amount of damage counters on an opposing character, which is just an extremely good closer. And then there's Tramp, which helps you to combat the board a little bit. Since this color pair typically isn't good from playing from behind, we want to have a few ways to have pseudo removal, right? And Tramp offers that opportunity the same way that Cricky does, but we'll get there in a minute.
So Tramp is something I didn't have in my deck, but I like it. You know, I really do see the potential if you're trying to go for more board control.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's just more relevant for this deck, particularly when we're on the draw, really. Like on the play, I think you care a lot less about those cards that are combating the board, but more so on the draw, so that way you have the way to turn the corner from them having the aggressive start.
Right, when you're like, naturally behind because they have the advantage and they are questing for a lot, and you can stop that with some of these cards, yeah.
Yes, sir. And then moving to the 3 costs, we have 4 Pongo, because I have been testing this card a lot in many different decks lately, and it has been performing quite well for me. Obviously, you don't want to have a ton of non-character cards in the deck, so this one particularly has only 8 non-character cards. There are 52 characters. Paying 2 to look at the top card, and if it's a character to draw that card, seems like a well worth investment for me. Then the next 3 cost is another 3/2, but this one quests for 2 and has Ward. It is Prince Philip. This card is just the stones. Very happy to have it here. I think Ward is important right now, and I would like to continue pressing that idea that Ward is very important at the moment. Then at the 4-drop slot, we have 4 Rapunzel. Go figure, this card helps us draw cards just as Pongo does. Might as well have a full grip of them, full 4. It's a 1/5, it quests for 2, and it can draw up to 3. Pretty much a staple in every Amber deck. Then we go to the 5 costs, where it starts to get pretty thick on the side of questing, right?
Oh, I see my favorite here.
We have 4 Mufasa, right? And this card, because it replaces itself upon being banished, it provides a very, very good threat and utility against opposing Ruby decks, which is very relevant and something that needs to be addressed, because Ruby has not gone anywhere. These Ruby Sapphire and Ruby Amethyst decks are still out there loud and proud.
Absolutely.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are quite a few Blurple decks out there as well, right? JDRR has put out a great list, and everybody has been talking about it and testing it out, and people like it. So then we move on to 5-cost Bell. It is a 3/3 that quests for 3. It shifts for 3, but we don't shift. A lot of people have put this card down and walked away from it. This was a really, really heavily played card for just a short time in like set 2 in this exact color pair. It was the only way that I found that could combat Ruby Amethyst in rapid succession. This card says whenever this card is challenged, the challenging player discards their hand. So you have to determine, if you don't have a removals piece for it, like Strength or Zeus, how do you get rid of this card? Because three questing points of pressure a turn adds up really quick. So you have to find a way to deal with it. Then you have 3 Cricky at the 5-drop. It's a 3/4 quest for 3, and just like Tramp, it's another one of those cards that helps you come from behind if you're on the draw, or if your opponent has a slew of locations out that you need to be able to answer, because those things are pesky. So Cricky helps you, evade that sticky situation that you might be in. Then we have 4 Cusco. It's a 2/4 quest for 3, has Ward, and whenever this character is challenged and banished, you banish the challenging character as well. So it 1-for-1s the opposing character, has Ward, quests for 3. I'm not asking for much more. Then I was up. It was a toss-up. It was a coin flip between Megara and Don Carnage. I know there are a lot of evasive characters out there right now, but I think sticking to the plan with adding more Ward is just much more important in my eyes. So I went with 4 copies of the 5-cost Megara. She's a 4/4 that quests for 2.
Yep.
And I would just say her added ability is not relevant in this deck particularly, but I will inform you that whenever you play a character named Hercules, you may ready this character. So if you're playing Hercules, it does give Megara a benefit, because it does not say that she cannot quest or challenge after she is readied. So kind of like Beast Relentless, she has the ability to continue to quest.
Sure.
And then, of course, we have 4 just in time to help get these 5-cost characters out on turn 3, because we want to take the lead and, off to the races we go. We're trying to not look back, just leave a dust trail behind us. And last but not least, 4 copies of Rapunzel Tower, 2-cost location, cost 1 to move.